All right, let's just dive right into this. Have you ever actually stopped to think about the invisible engines that literally keep our planet running? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to explore the secret superpowers of plants. Specifically, we're tracking water's completely hidden journey from root to sky. We're going to break down exactly how plants manage the ultimate balancing act, staying fed, staying cool, and, staying alive.
So to kick things off, I've got a question for you. You know when you take an early morning walk and see those perfect little water droplets clinging to the very edges of a leaf? Do you really know what's happening there? Are those actually dewdrops, like just moisture from the outside air condensing? Well, the reality of where that water comes from is way more fascinating than you might think.
The answer to that mystery actually starts with our first big concept, transpiration. Imagine this process as a giant, invisible straw. Transpiration is the continuous upward pull of water and essential nutrients, dragging them from the deepest roots right up to the very topmost parts of the plant. Once it gets there, the water is lost to the atmosphere as a vapor. It's essentially the plant sweating. It lets them actively cool down while pulling up a fresh supply of food at the exact same time. But how do we prove this invisible water loss is actually happening? I mean, it's vapor, right? We can't exactly see it. Well, a brilliantly simple scientific setup, a YouTube experiment, gives us the exact detective evidence we need. It's a classic way to make the invisible entirely visible. Here is exactly how it works. First, we fill a U-shaped tube with water. Next, we take a leafy shoot, carefully cut it underwater, and fix it to a rubber cork on one side of our tube. Now, to make sure the water doesn't just naturally evaporate into the air on the other side, we completely seal that free arm with a layer of coconut oil, mark the exact water level, and we just wait. Give it about an hour.
And the results? Totally immediate. After that hour is up, you will clearly see that the water level in the free arm of the tube has dropped. Why? Because that leafy shoot is actively losing water to the air through transpiration, and it is literally drinking from the tube to replace that lost vapor. It's just this continuous, thirsty engine.
Now, this invisible sweating isn't just some quirky botanical party trick. It is an incredibly powerful biological process. Number one, it transports vital water and nutrients upward. Number two, as that water evaporates, it cools the plant down, which is absolutely crucial during severe heat. And on a macro level, millions of plants doing this all at once act like massive water pumps that actively maintain the Earth's entire water cycle. Pretty amazing, right? But that brings up a really critical question we have to consider. What happens when a plant lives in a super harsh environment? Severe heat, strong dry winds, intense sunlight. Under those conditions, transpiring too much means rapid dehydration and, certain death. So how do they survive when their own cooling mechanism threatens to drain them completely dry? To fight this exact problem, plants have evolved what we can basically call desert armor. They adapt incredibly well to minimize that transpiration. Temple trees, for example, develop a super thick epidermis, basically a really tough outer skin. A cactus takes it a step further and completely reduces its leaves into protective spines. The Kaza plant turns them into scale leaves, and the aloe plant develops highly specialized, thick, fleshy leaves that act like secure water storage tanks. And the botanical ingenuity just doesn't stop there. Sunflowers actually grow tiny hairs on their skin to trap a little boundary layer of moisture. The oleander goes into hiding, literally placing its pores deep inside sunk stomata to shield them from the dry wind. Some trees like rubber and teak just go completely dormant, dropping their leaves during the dry season just to lock that precious moisture safely inside the trunk. Others, like the Maharavana rula, actually roll their leaves up tightly. It's just brilliant survival engineering. All right, let's shift gears for a second, because the environment obviously doesn't always stay hot and dry. As day turns to night, temperatures drop, and humidity usually spikes. The percentage of water vapor in the atmosphere gets really high. And because the surrounding air is so incredibly wet, evaporation practically grinds to a halt. Suddenly, the biological rules of the game completely change. Which brings us right back to that opening mystery. Think about that tomato leaf. Those droplets? They are not morning dew condensing from the cool outside air. That is liquid being physically pushed out. It's oozing straight from the inside of the plant.
This incredible phenomenon is called guttation. When high nighttime humidity essentially blocks water from turning into vapor, small plants like anthuriums, grasses, and our tomato plant rely on a backup pressure valve. They literally weep liquid water directly through special pores called hydothodes, and these are located precisely on the margins and the very tips of their leaves.
But here is a fascinating twist. Remember how transpiration releases pure water vapor? Well, guttation is quite different. The liquid that gets pushed out contains water mixed with salts. So when the sun finally comes up and those liquid droplets evaporate in the daytime heat, all those salts get left behind. And for certain plants, like the Haberala, those leftover concentrated salts can actually physically burn the delicate tips of the leaves. No way, right?
So if we directly compare these two powerhouses side by side, the differences are super clear. Transpiration happens mainly through stomata, releasing pure water vapor, and it's happening day and night. Guttation, on the other hand, uses those hydothodes we just talked about, releases a mix of water and salts as literal liquid drops, and really only happens at night.
And the absolute most crucial dividing line between them is how they react to humidity. They are practically opposites. A wet, highly humid night puts the brakes on the transpiration engine, effectively decreasing it. But that exact same high humidity, it kicks the guttation engine into high gear, dramatically increasing the flow of liquid water drops.
So, when we pull back from the microscopic pores and individual droplets to look at the really big picture, we realize just how vital these intricate biological processes are. As our source beautifully puts it, the very existence of plants ensures the conservation of our environment. Their internal plumbing systems, their brilliant ways of adapting to drought, and their massive capacity to pump water back into the sky is all fundamentally tied to the health of our entire planet.
I really hope this explainer has completely changed your perspective on all this stuff. It definitely leaves us with a provocative thought. The next time you pass a seemingly quiet, still plant on your morning walk, what incredible invisible engines will you envision working inside it? There is a whole secret world of transpiration pulling and guttation weeping happening right under our noses. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today, and definitely keep exploring the amazing science all around you.